Sometimes we just want to like have a hands-off approach, so I'm not accidentally making him more nervous. Okay. Sometimes comforting him, although it can seem like we want to comfort him and pet him, it can actually reinforce his anxious state of mind. And we can give him like all the love and treats after the nail trim, but sometimes it prolongs the process, and I want him to feel comfortable.
Look at you, you're all cleaned up. How you doing? All right, how we doing?
Good, yeah? Overall she's doing fine.
Nice. That's all right, I'll clean that up real quick. What are the big things?
So, she doesn't love to hold a down stick.
Okay.
And
in the sense of she just breaks it, or she's whining, or?
She'll just break it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and especially if she knows that I'm turning my head, or,
Gotcha.
And she also doesn't, she's doing better with like the come commands, but every once in a while she will, like if she's upstairs or something, like have a release and she's upstairs and I ask her to come down, like she sometimes won't always do it like that quick. I think she, like what she did when we were here, like I think she gets scared a little bit and just like kind of freezes or goes to like the nearest bed. Like, that would be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's like, it's just that confidence issue and stuff like that. So being able to work through that a little bit is gonna be like the best option. If she is upstairs, we might have to kind of compromise a little bit right now to making that distance a little bit shorter and building to it right now. You know, if we're finding that we're struggling, similar to getting like distance from the bed, asking her to go onto the bed from a distance, right? As in the send home, we were kind of walking up and putting her on, and then I was like how to build distance from it so you can be like on the couch and tell her bed, you know? Same thing, right. Yeah, starting small and building up. It's the same as like with the recalls, maybe starting small and then building that distance is what's gonna like help kind of build that confidence a little bit more so that eventually you can, you know, get to that point. Because it is like out of sight and it's distant. So it's kind of like the double whammy situation.
The upstairs stuff, but we won't have to worry about too much with the move.
Gotcha.
But definitely getting her from like, if I'm in one place,
a distance. Yep.
But,
So downs and recalls are what we're gonna work on then the most today. We're gonna just work straight down here, just so we're already kind of in it and everything with all the distractions and stuff. I'm gonna clean this up real quick and then we can get started. Right now, we're just gonna work leash on and we're just gonna kind of, or actually go ahead and pop that leash off. Have you been working off leash mostly or still kind of on leash?
A little bit of both.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see how we look with the off leash and then we can, if we need to, we can always put it back on. So, give her a second. Go ahead and try to just recall her over and then try to put her in a down.
Khora, come.
Wrong person.
Khora, come. Down.
Awesome.
So what do you do with these?
So in a situation like that, right, because she kind of popped up in that situation, it's probably because of the physical affection, right? The reason why I like to use the treats and less of the physical affection is because the treats have like a limit to it, right? There's 4 or 5 pieces of kibble or something. She eats it, it's gone, and we're done, right? Yeah. Affection can be a little bit different because there's no real like end to it, right? If you're scratching, she's scratching, whatever, you stop, but she still kind of wants it, right? There's no like finished limit to it, you know? So that scratching on the back of the head, sometimes when we like stop and we lift up, she wants to follow up. She's like, all right, well, I want more of that, you know? So sometimes if it's just like down, if you can just do maybe just like a little bit or just, I tend to try to avoid the affection, like the physical affection because of the popping up. If you have the treats, it's going to be a little bit more, you know, at least just with like her energy. If it's something where she's a little bit more like calm down and relax, and you might be able to get away with a scratch or two, but usually I try to like avoid it, you know, until you release her. Once you release her, then you can give that all that affection that you want.
That's the other thing, too, now that you bring it up, like giving her just the okay release doesn't necessarily, like she doesn't move right away. I don't know that she understands what that is necessarily, but maybe just over time. Yeah,
so that's something else we can kind of work on too, to kind of like boost her up a little bit. It's a little bit weird, but especially with a puppy like or whatever, younger dog with her personality and stuff, I want to kind of like amp her up to let her know that she can. But again, the okay is the release. She doesn't have to get up, right? If it's something that you do want her to move, you would probably just give her like a come command or something like that, or just like coax her name or whatever, like to get her to come up. So it's not something I will ever correct for her, nor is it necessarily a bad thing that she doesn't pop up. It's probably her just kind of playing it safe, and she's just like, you know, I heard you say it, but I don't want that correction. I don't want to be wrong. So, and a lot of times, especially if we release and we don't move, she's not going to move either, because she's going to be like, I heard you, but you're not moving, so I'm not moving, right? So usually what I'll do is like, I'll tell her okay, and then I'll kind of like move fast or something, you know, kind of just like get her attention. She does that. And then once she realizes, oh, that's fine, then she can start doing a little bit more. So right now I want to work more just duration. So go ahead and just, again, recall her and then put her in a down, and then just kind of try to move away from her a little bit. And again, we're trying to look for,
No.
so go ahead and put her back. We're trying to look for the timing of when she commits to getting up, right? If it's something where if she kind of like creeps up a little bit and then like catches herself and goes down, okay, I can be a little bit lenient with that. But when you're committed to getting up and trying to run over to one of us or run over to the bed to get back in that kind of comfort zone, that's when I want to kind of shut that off and be like, no, you're fine right there. I get you want to come to me, but you need to stay over there, right, for right now. Again, trying to build her own kind of confidence in the command and understanding that she's going to be okay just being alone, you know? And now I kind of want to just, because the duration has been what we've been working on the most, I want to just be able to kind of like hold this for a little bit.
And the other thing too, I think that she'll definitely continue. I was surprised she actually got up, because most of the time, as long as you're looking at her, or she knows that you're looking at her, she won't do it. She doesn't
When you walk away?
No, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we'll do next. I just wanted to kind of see if, work through the easy stuff first, right? Again, build up on it. So if it's something that you know duration is a problem, make sure that this is really sad. Make sure that it is 100% of the time that she will not pop up if she knows that you're watching, right? Once you can check that box off, right, then we can start kind of pushing the limit a little bit more and building that more out of sight duration. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go back into the lobby, and I'm gonna have you put her like in a down over here in the lobby, and I'm gonna have you just step outside, right? And it'll be something that I will kind of just hold the remote, or I'll walk outside or whatever, and I'll have you hold the remote. But she's probably going to care about you more leaving than me, so that way you can kind of see the correcting and all that stuff. And so again, the second she commits to getting up, correct, and then ask her to down again. Because if I can stop the behavior of actually getting to the point of full-on lunging or running over, then that's going to be ideal, and she's going to be much more receptive to the correction if we can stop her in the act rather than correcting during the act, right? And so we'll have one more dog coming down too, I think. You going on a walk?
Sure are.
All right, perfect. Perfect. And then just repeat that down command too.
Khora down.
Nice.
And then she gets like scared or too.
Right. So you're still at that 40 right now?
I went down to 35.
35, okay.
Because that's a little much.
Gotcha. Yep, I would agree with that. Even with this, you know, again, I would rather be a little bit higher and know that the correction is going to mean something, but obviously I want to try to work as low as I can too. When you start seeing like a good response and as well as she's not really committed to doing, it's okay to kind of start testing, especially if you have the leash on or something, you know, if you're out at the park or something like that and you're working downs and the dog walks by, especially if you have the lead on, you can start testing those lower levels in hopes that, you know, she's not going to do it, right? So maybe if you're at a 35, maybe you go a bit down to like a 20 and she's good for that. Maybe you try going down to a 15, she doesn't care, she pops up, right? It's like, okay, going back to a 20, right? And so you can kind of, that's where you can kind of try to gauge where that sweet spot's going to be for the both of you. But I do agree with, you know, definitely having to go up a little bit more to make sure that it's solid. And once we start seeing consistency, then we can go down. But that's what a lot of owners struggle with, is like they start too low and then they're scared to go up to fix the problem and like fix it fast. Whereas now we're seeing this problem is kind of solved right now. So now we can go down on the levels because I can start trusting you a little bit more, right? Right. And so we'll have one more dog coming down too, I think. You going on a walk?
Sure are.
All right, perfect. Perfect. And then just repeat that down command too.
Khora down.
Nice.
And then she gets like scared routine.
Right. So you're still at that 40 right now?
I went down to
35, okay.
because that's a little much.
Gotcha. Yep, I would agree with that. Even with this, you know, again, I would rather be a little bit higher and know that the correction is going to mean something, but obviously I want to try to work as low as I can too. When you start seeing like a good response and as well as she's not really committed to doing, it's okay to kind of start testing, especially if you have the leash on or something, you know, if you're out at the park or something like that and you're working downs and the dog walks by, especially if you have the lead on, you can start testing those lower levels in hopes that, you know, she's not going to do it, right? So maybe if you're at a 35, maybe you go a bit down to like a 20 and she's good for that. Maybe you try going down to a 15, she doesn't care, she pops up, right? It's like, okay, going back to a 20, right? And so you can kind of, that's where you can kind of try to gauge where that sweet spot's going to be for the both of you. But I do agree with, you know, definitely having to go up a little bit more to make sure that it's solid. And once we start seeing consistency, then we can go down. But that's what a lot of owners struggle with, is like they start too low and then they're scared to go up to fix the problem and like fix it fast. Whereas now we're seeing this problem is kind of solved right now. So now we can go down on the levels because I can start trusting you a little bit more, right? All right, so what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you kind of step outside. I'm gonna grab the remote from you. So we'll see, I don't even know if she will pop up now because of that correction, but we'll see. So just walk outside, wait like 5 seconds, and then come back in. Perfect. Nice. Now you can see she definitely wants to, but it's something that for right there, I want to, if you have a treat, want to go up and I just want to reward her for that. Because that's something, especially if it's something she is struggling with, if I can reward her for the positive behavior of doing it, then that would be ideal. She doesn't want to take it. Oh, there you go. Good job. ahead, yep, just kind of hang over there, and then just go ahead and give her that recall.
Khora, come.
Perfect. So being able to work through the distractions like this is a good sign that she definitely knows, you know? So I think right now just working, again, working smaller distances and making sure that 100%, you're 100% confident in her understanding of the command, and then we can start building up a little bit more to where she's allowed to. Now, with the downs as well, if it's something that you've been using the beds more, obviously the downs might be slipping a little bit, but because she did so well even just right here and stuff, I think if we can find time to work it a little bit more, you know, even in the same room, but maybe not having to stare at her all the time, we're gonna be able to do it. And you can start short duration too. You know, you don't have to right off the bat expect her to hold 30 minutes or whatever. If she's struggling this much right now, set the goals for like a reasonable set goal of like 5 minutes or so, you know?
I think she knows that she has, I think she knows that she has an escape route.
Yeah.
What I really want her to do is in the kitchen, actually. A lot
Okay.
of times when I'm cooking or doing dishes, and she knows, like, there's a back stairs, she can get up quickly, there's another way to get to the front stairs. So she knows she can slip out very quietly.
Right, yep.
And here, I think, you know, I know she's being watched. And,
Yep, and it is, and it's hard. It's definitely can be hard to stimulate like kind of those situations here as opposed to home, right? So that's why we try our best to not necessarily work through the behavior, but to show you what we're expecting and how to do it going home. So that way, when you're presented with it, you know, you're able to work through it. So if it is the case where she's kind of shooting these gaps or something, you know, if it's something I try to just work low level duration, right? Low expectation, because if she thinks that she can hold out to get that reward and that's more of a benefit than running away, then obviously we're gonna see more consistency with it. So the first couple times you do it, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, whatever. Do clean like 2 dishes or something, turn around, if she's there, boom, reward, right? And just do that for the first time, you know, a time or two, and see if you see an attitude change, you know, towards wanting to stay a little bit longer, trying to hold out a little bit longer to get that reward, right? Once we do that, then we can start adding a little bit more, tacking on a little bit more time each rep. But I want her to realize that staying there is much better and much more beneficial to her than being scared or whatever it may be and running away, right? Because she's scared of the correction, right? Because it's this eventual loop that's happening right now is she's scared she's gonna get a correction, so she's running away and getting that correction, right? So if we lay the expectation to be a little bit shorter, and her attitude starts changing to, okay, if I just hold out for a couple more seconds, Dad's gonna give me a treat. And a couple more seconds, Dad will give me another treat, you know? Then we start to see, okay, I'm not getting these corrections, and I'm holding out just to get these treats, so now I'm starting to see a little bit more of a benefit, right? So I wanna try that for right now, and then with the recalls, you know, if you're able to kind of do those a little bit more, it looked like the heel, and that looked really good. And the recalls, you know, she was kind of sticking to you, which ultimately you want, right? So in this situation where you're able to kind of work it a little bit more, and I'm gonna have you work just a few more reps too, and then we can kind of wrap up. But what I'm looking for is, again, that the confidence of like, all right, this is what I want to be doing, right? I want to be kind of playing and kind of doing my own thing, but Dad told me to do something, so I need to do it because I know if I don't, I'm going to get that correction, right? So just a few more, just go ahead and just give her that recall again.
Khora, come.
Perfect. Now you can see the head's coming up a little bit more, tail's wagging, right? That confidence is a little bit more back now that we've been able to do it, right? So go ahead and release.
Okay.
And if she does kind of move away or whatever, then awesome. If not, just do one more kind of close to the gate, and then you can just recall her and just walk her right out.
Khora.
Perfect. Pizza, don't even think about it. Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, no, overall, she's been, I mean, it's a world, obviously a world of difference.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, she looks good, and again, she's young. We're starting first week home and stuff, you know, so expecting these little hiccups right now is expected, you know, but is reasonable, but knowing how to work through it and trying to figure it out, you know, exactly how to kind of figure to fix it is the important part. So I think just working these few little things on top of how you're already kind of working with her is going to help a lot. I would like to maybe try to set up another follow-up in a few weeks. You know, I want to give a little bit more time to try to work through it. Obviously, like if you call me in a week or something, you're like, nope, still really struggling, I want to get back in, whatever, then we can do that. But just to save you multiple trips or whatever, if it's something that I want to give you a little bit more time now to work through it and see if we can build more duration over these next few weeks, and then come back and kind of finish up fine-tuning exactly what we need to. Do you have any questions about anything?
No.
Okay. Again, I think you're doing great with everything. Obviously, you've had some practice already with this previously, but it's more of just her attitude towards it and the confidence and stuff. Where I think if we make it a little bit easier on her and on yourself, we're going to see much faster growth from it. So I think just like working those little smaller reasonable steps, shorter duration, shorter distance with the recalls and stuff, and then build onto that, we're going to see a lot more improvement.
So they give him medication at the vet generally to calm him down. Okay. So here, our philosophy with nails is just to help him kind of work through it instead of like medicating him and making him out of it. I definitely want him to just learn to tolerate things like nail trims. I mean, if he had long hair, brushing or handling bath time. He was just nervous with the nails last time. I don't think that I will have to use a muzzle, but if he starts getting nippy, I might place a muzzle on him just for my own comfortable confidence. But I can take him and his remote. And I'm going to try not to correct for anything and just kind of hold still if he is struggling. So I'll just start by turning it on and getting him used to just the sound. We're at a lower level on the Dremel. He's like, oh crap. He's like, I remember this. I'm just going to start by holding his paw while the Dremel is on. Hey, big guy. He's like, oh, that feels so weird. And if he's given like a little bit of struggle, I'm going to just hold still with the paw gently and let him kind of work through that. And then when the struggle stops, I'll hit them again. Just so I'm not trying to like Dremel a moving target. You're being so good. Do you like your new sister? I try to make it a calmer experience as much as I can, but it feels funny. It feels weird to do. Because he has thicker nails, I'm going to go ahead and turn up on that level. And you can start to see the quick too. I don't know if you ever had interest in knowing that little fleshy part right there, that's the quick. So that indicates I want to stop there or I'd make him bleed.
Okay.
So I just take just the sharpness out of it and I try to go above it so I'm not hurting him or making him truly like uncomfortable. And although we want to get like a fast, efficient nail trim, I don't want to rush through it to get it over with. I want him to learn to like calmly accept it as well. I know, you're a little bit nervous. Good under. Sometimes we just want to like have a hands-off approach so I'm not accidentally making him more nervous. Sometimes comforting him, although it can seem like we want to comfort him and pet him, it can actually reinforce his anxious state of mind. And we can give him like all the love and treats after the nail trim, but sometimes it prolongs the process. And I want him to feel comfortable, but I also want him to be like, I have to tolerate this for like however long it takes, generally getting done in like 15 minutes. But I can tell him good boy, and if I wanted to, I could reward him. I don't think in the state of mind he's in, he'd really like treats right now. And I think dogs like this will never truly make nail trimming a positive experience that he's gonna love, but we can definitely make it a tolerable experience and not a negative experience. Good work. Good work.
Get your e-collar situated. I want you to see how you got tension on those leashes. Go ahead and ask them to do something. Give them a sit command. And then neither sat. There we go. Now correct her. You're going to increase her level. There we go. Try to really avoid that tension, right?
Yeah.
Give another correction. Don't worry about your leash. Yeah. And turn up some more too. What were you gonna say?
I sit.
All right. Increase some more too.
Took off her
Looser on the leashes too. There you go.
prong collar. Took it off because I know we
Good.
were talking about walking with them a little bit. So it is in my bag.
Give a correction.
Easy. Sit.
Now, you're repeating sit every time you do it. Remember, we need to be saying no there, right? Now, I want you to fade the prong out. That's great. I'm happy that they don't have it on right now. But that's where you're going to start to notice everywhere where your timing has been really bad with the e-collar and where you're depending on the leashes, right? Which is where, right there, case in point. If they had the prongs on, they probably would have been a little better behaved there, but that's not the solution. The solution is we need to be communicating more clearly verbally and with our e-collar, right? So just be mindful of that, obviously. You know, that's normal. You know, the first time we fade the prong out, it's kind of like we just become more aware of that kind of stuff for that reason.
It's been like a crutch.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
It's been an effective crutch, but a crutch.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's an effective management tool, but it hasn't really solved a lot of the issues that you've had. So, all right. So past that, what else has been new with them?
So they've actually been really doing very well with their beds and their stays there, especially while people are coming in the house.
Nice.
And actually listening like without the e-collar. Like I'm not really, that's not what I'm aiming.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But just like when they're off of it, they're like, oh yeah, she kind of is telling me to do things. And overall, just like a little bit more mindful about like spacing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like just all the things are kind of like clicking.
Cool.
And even though I don't know exactly what is triggering her right now for like.
Well, we know she gets anxious when she comes here. Yeah, that's all right.
She's been like calmer usually when we come in, but overall, no, sit.
Now, one additional point. So right there, you said no sit, right?
Right.
Slow it down just a little bit, right? But keep in mind our no marker, the reason why we use it as opposed to just tapping that button is because it buys us the time to still give the correction. So let's say right there, you told her no, and I saw you go to reach to hit the button, but then you didn't because she fixed herself, right? Because we said no, we could still give the correction in that moment. She's gonna know what it was for. And that's how we avoid using no as like a warning or an interrupter and actually use it as a marker, right?
That makes sense.
So.
The other thing I was saying, overall, I actually would say like she's always a little neurotic what I can,
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
But like, there's a little bit of an edge that like, I think I've noticed her shifting from, like, especially in the yard, like, she's just like more locked on to me, and I think it's just like that communication.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's good.
So, I mean, it's been positive.
Cool. All right. You know, obviously I have some general plans as far as things I want to work on today, but is there anything in particular you've noticed in the last few weeks that you're like, hey, I'm having an issue with this, or I want to focus on this, or anything like that?
No, I mean, like I said, I have not ventured like on an actual walk with them without their Prong.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, I don't get the timing. Like, I just don't.
Yeah, we'll do that today.
Yep, so that, other than that, if we get into like some distractions, particularly with him, I'd be curious about like, I know that like posture and all that, like it's not necessarily good or bad.
You said distractions, is that what you said with him?
Yeah,
Okay.
like with other dogs, like when they're around, because he has just had that like trigger of like going from nothing to I want to lunge at that dog. And I guess I want to know like what I should be trying to watch for.
Yeah.
That isn't just like emotion, but like actually like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know that
it's not that there's, there's not anything in particular you want to necessarily watch for. The thing is, you just need to be mindful of go into situations expecting him to do it, so you're prepared to address it when he does. Because tell him no, and then tap your button. Perfect. And then tell him sit.
Good.
Excellent. And here's the thing, I'm okay with that correction being a little high. You know what I mean? Like he knows this command at this point, right? He broke the command, we gave our correction for it, right? So what I mean by being prepared for these scenarios is I go into every situation, until I'm so far through training that it's like he hasn't done any of this stuff wrong in so long and everything's great and this and that. I go into every situation where I see another dog of the mindset of he's probably gonna lunge in a minute, and I just have my level set up. I'm asking him to do something, whether it's a sit or whatever, and I'm ready for the second that he makes that mistake and breaks command to correct for it, right? So it's not that I'm looking for something, like if he's whining or if he's really locked onto it or something like that, that just means I'm gonna watch it a little more intensely. But if you go in, but I'm not gonna like correct for anything leading up to it unless he makes the mistake.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
It's like, but even there you said, like, I don't know what's better is like, do I try to like, should I make him sit? No.
Tell her no, tap your button. Perfect. And then,
In that scenario, if he does seem to be getting super locked on, do we, am I just ready and we try and walk past? Is it better?
I get it. So how exactly do you handle it,
Yeah,
right?
Should I take 3 steps off, have them sit, I don't know.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, so to answer that question, I'm a big proponent of pulling off to the side and doing a stationary command. And the reason for that is not because it's wrong to try to walk by, but that's a little bit more gray, right? So if I'm walking, sometimes it's hard to tell, like, is this too far? Is this too far? Is this too far? You know what I mean? It's like, where exactly do I draw that line of where I need to give a correction? Where if I pull off to the side and I go sit, like right now, it's very black and white. You're either sitting or you're not sitting. You know what I mean? So I can know exactly where I need to give that correction, where they're going to retain it as best as possible, right? Additionally, I think that pulling off to the side, creating a tiny bit of distance, doing that sit, non-verbally communicates to the other person, hey, we're not interacting right now. I'm training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I just told her no for dragging me. Yeah. Tap.
Yep.
Right? So I could delay that tap, and because I marked with no, she's going to know what that tap is for.
Okay.
Right? So right now, go ahead and stay right there.
Yep.
I'm just going to, no. I'm just gonna pick a spot here right now, and just for a minute, what I'm gonna do is just make sure they're not dragging me anywhere. So my only expectation right now is stay in my bubble. Okay. So what I'm gonna do in a second here is I'm gonna tell them come, I'm gonna start walking, and my initial expectation here is gonna be pretty loose. Just don't drag me around. Just stay in my immediate space. I'm not focused on any side or space or anything like that. I just wanna focus on generally them sticking with me. So again, you could stay there. I'm gonna be in this immediate area right here. Come. No. Come. And notice how much slack I have here. No. Come. I just want them staying in my bubble, and I want to make sure the leashes aren't doing anything right now. No. Come. So if you look at this, this is basically the exact same thing we did with the come command, right? The only difference is there's leashes in my hand. And that's the way you need to look at this. We separate a lot of times in our head the come command versus our walking, when in actuality, no, come, they're the same thing. And I think that's because the dog training world has programmed us to think heel, right? That we have to do this heel, which we don't, right? We just need to make sure that the dogs aren't pulling us and that they're staying in our space. From there, the only difference between come and heel is heel would mean stay on a particular side, which it just doesn't matter, you know?
Especially with 2 of them.
It literally doesn't matter. Like when I walk all 4 of my dogs, there's usually 1 left, 1 right, 2 behind, you know? They just stay in my space. So sometimes I'll just start like this, you know, go in the front yard, go in the driveway, something like that, and just start walking, you know? And I don't know where I'm going. I'm just making sure they're staying with me here. And we're gonna have some dogs walking in a minute, so we'll use this as an opportunity, right? We'll pull off to the side, sit, and we'll put them in command, and then we'll just wait. No, isn't it the blood moon today?
Yeah.
The last one for the next like 20 years or something like that?
Yeah. It's not really very red, but it is like
Yeah?
full like boom.
Should I expect some crazy shit to happen tonight because of it?
I mean, you're gonna be emotional.
Is that what it means? I'm gonna be emotional?
Emotions are gonna be.
Should I expect my wife and I are gonna get in a fight when I get home or something?
Maybe. Everything says half the country will be really emotional.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah,
pretty fair statement.
that's funny. No, I guess it usually hides from us right here in this parking lot, but
Driving down, like you got the perfect.
Can you see it?
It's
Yeah,
super low too.
yeah,
But it's pretty cool.
I'll have to go hunt
You
for
have
it.
good camera stuff, so you know you should take advantage.
Yeah, Paige, go photograph it. I want a clip of it in the vlog. I do. You have to go find it. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, that's okay. Good distraction, good distraction. Very good, right? So that's exactly how I would handle that situation, right? And the key here really is look at how much slack I have on these leashes. The second you start doing this, it gets real easy to start giving a little tension, right? You gotta force yourself to nice and loose, because at that point, if they're, a lot of times we hold it short, because if we're holding it loose, they're gonna be all over the place. But if they're all over the place, that means we're communicating wrong. You know what I mean? So it's kind of this catch-22. So I'm gonna do this, and if it starts getting real out of control, that means I just need to tighten this up. I'm the vlogger now. It's like vlogception. Nice. And we'll do one more of those. That light is pretty bright on this thing. This looks awesome. couple things.
Okay.
What were you correcting for there?
It was pulling the leash.
Don't worry about dragging behind.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because right there, the only thing that was going on was he was just confused if he was walking with me or walking with you, right? So don't worry too much about that. The leash will keep him with you, and that will kind of fix that problem.
Okay.
We're really only looking to correct the blatant, I'm leaving you, right? I'm leaving you to go here. I'm leaving you to go here,
Got it.
right? But dragging behind, especially early on, when we're starting to create more firm of consequences for this, that'll kind of fix itself, right? A lot of this weaving that you're seeing also is them trying to figure out where they're supposed to sit with each other, you know? Because in the past, we haven't given them an option. It's, hey, leashes are here, right? So you can't leave this space. Now we're giving them a little bit of flexibility, and just keep walking. There we go. Because you see how he's looking at me. He thinks he's walking with me here. There we go. So that I don't want to correct, right? I want to just help him through that. Let the leash get him going. But yeah, we're kind of giving them the flexibility to figure out where with each other do you guys want to sit.
No good. Right?
And just keep on walking straight. Yeah, don't worry about a good or anything right now. Like I said, we'll add a couple rewards back in a minute, but I want to see them kind of start walking a little bit more naturally with you. And the other thing too is when they start getting a little wonky with it, where they're trying to figure it out, don't hesitate so much, right? Because that's a lot of this is, yeah, just keep walking. There you go, perfect. Is when he starts zigzagging and stuff like that, you kind of slow down and are watching him and slowing down and watching him, which is kind of giving him a sense of control of things. So we're just going, right? And we're gonna keep going straight. You're gonna go all the way down to that fence down there. This is where you gotta channel that Caesar of like, walk with a purpose, you know? And you could already see, I mean, just from that rep right there, your commitment, right, will look much smoother. Like you said it, you walked and you were going and they're like, oh, we gotta follow you, right? As opposed to, again, that little hesitation sometimes we have of like, we almost say like, come, and it's like, are you gonna follow me? Are you not gonna follow me, you know? A lot of these handling related things like that will help put you in a position where you don't need to correct as much, which is the goal, you know? And again, he's still a little confused who he's walking with, but you just committing to going, he'll start realizing, oh, I gotta be with mom right now. Now, can you feel the difference between the walk this way versus the walk when you're doing it where you're kind of just physically managing with the prongs?
Yeah. Oh,
right? The biggest thing is like, again, they physically were doing the correct thing with the prongs on, but the whole state of mind is different, right? Right now, everybody loosens up, right? Like the tension kind of comes out a little bit, even in ourselves, because we're not constantly like physical, right? Holding them here, right? Tension, things like that. It's like a whole different state of mind. Once you see the dogs really start relaxing into that, that's where the walks really start to get enjoyable, I always think. Walking looked good. It's just knowing where to correct, right? So the way that I would do this if I were you is I would start by doing it like we started. So maybe up and down the driveway, whatever, something like that. Do a handful of repetitions like that. You know, be strict on it for sure, but don't worry about the dragging behind. Rewards, you know, a lot of stops, a lot of rewards. That'll help keep them engaged with you. From there, once you go, just go, right? And then again, try to not worry about anything that's going on back there. We're really only worried about this or this, right? And if you start with that, that should get you under control. And it should start to feel like what it felt like outside, where it's like the leashes aren't doing anything. They're literally just there for safety, right? So try to work that a little bit.